Welcome to the Facilitators Deep Dive Podcast, your podcast on your way to facilitation mastery.
Have you ever been in a meeting where everyone's like politely agreeing,
Well,
But you can just tell there are like unspoken concerns. Like everyone's nodding along, but secretly thinking like, this plan is never gonna work.
Oh, we've all been there.
Right.
It's like the corporate version of smiling and waving while internally screaming.
Exactly. Well, today's deep dive is about a technique that kind of blows the lid off those kinds of situations
Yeah.
and unlocks a whole new level of honesty and insight.
Interesting.
It's called the User Experience Fishbowl.
Okay.
And it comes from the world of liberating structures.
I've heard of those.
Yeah, which are basically like frameworks for having way better meetings and group interactions.
Cool. Yeah, what's fascinating about the fishbowl is that it flips the script on traditional presentations.
Okay.
Instead of having like a designated expert lecturing at the audience,
Right.
you create a space for genuine, unscripted conversation.
Right.
It's like hitting fast forward on building trust and understanding within a group.
Okay, so less PowerPoint, more heart-to-heart.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm liking this already. But paint me a picture.
Okay.
How does this fishbowl thing actually work?
So imagine a small circle of chairs right in the middle of the room. This is the fishbowl.
Got it.
A handful of people, the fish, sit in this inner circle.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a casual conversation about a specific challenge or topic.
So no slides, no formal agenda, just people chatting.
Yeah, pretty much.
That sounds pretty simple. What's the catch?
Well, the magic is that the fish aren't trying to persuade or impress.
Okay.
They're just being vulnerable, sharing their real experiences.
Interesting.
The good, the bad, and the ugly.
Mm-hmm.
And surrounding this inner circle is a larger group, the observers,
Right.
who are listening intently,
Yeah.
picking up on the nuances and unspoken details that a formal presentation would never capture.
This feels almost radical.
It kind of is.
Are we saying that letting people share their unfiltered experiences is actually more effective
Sometimes, yeah.
than telling them what to do?
In many cases, yes.
Wow.
Think about it.
Okay.
Are bombarded with information all day long,
Right.
but what truly sticks with us,
Yeah.
the stories, the personal experiences that resonate on an emotional level.
Okay, so we've got people chatting in a circle, others listening in.
Mm-hmm.
What makes this a structured technique?
Good question.
Are there rules to this fishbowl game?
There are 5 key elements that make this work.
Okay.
Think of them as the min specs for creating a truly powerful fishbowl experience.
Okay, let's unpack those min specs.
Sure.
Hit me with number 1.
The first is the invitation.
Okay.
It's not about summoning people to a formal presentation,
Right.
but inviting them to a genuine down-to-earth conversation.
Uh-huh.
Think campfire stories, but about work.
This invitation element is interesting. It's like you're signaling that it's okay to be vulnerable.
Exactly.
To share the messy reality, not just the polished version.
I like that, yeah.
Okay, what else?
Then we have space.
Okay.
It's about creating a physical environment where everyone can see and hear clearly.
Right.
The sightlines are crucial.
Okay.
Imagine you're in the outer circle.
Yeah.
You're not just hearing the words.
Mm-hmm.
You're picking up on the fish, body language, their facial expressions.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you're getting a 360-degree view of their experience.
I can see how that would amplify the impact of the stories.
Right.
It's not just what they're saying, but how they're saying it.
Yeah.
What's next?
Participation.
Okay.
In a fishbowl, everyone gets a voice.
Mm-hmm.
The inner circle shares their experiences,
Right.
and the outer circle actively listens.
Yeah.
And formulates questions.
So it's a two-way street.
It is.
The observers aren't just passive spectators.
No, not at all.
And then there's groups. You
Yes.
have one small, intimate circle in the center.
Right.
And then the outer circle can be divided into smaller groups
Uh-huh.
to allow for more focused listening and discussion.
Exactly.
I like
Yeah. It prevents the outer circle from feeling like one big anonymous blob.
Exactly.
Okay, last but not least, what's that final min spec?
Sequence.
Okay.
The fishbowl unfolds in a specific order.
Okay.
The conversation in the inner circle flows organically until it naturally comes to a close. Then the outer circle groups share their observations and ask questions.
Gotcha.
Finally, there's a structured debrief to make sense of everything that's been shared
Okay.
and extract actionable insights.
Okay, so we've got the blueprint, but what makes this seemingly simple setup so effective?
Right. So let's dive into the real magic of the fishbowl.
I'm ready.
Okay. The beauty of the user experience fishbowl is like in its simplicity and adaptability.
Okay.
You can use it to tackle a wide range of challenges, from improved team communication to navigating major life decisions even.
Okay, I'm intrigued, but I need some concrete examples.
Sure.
We keep talking about these amazing benefits.
But I want to see the fishbowl in action.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's start with something many of our listeners can relate to.
Okay.
Imagine a company rolling out a new software system.
Okay, yeah.
Instead of just having the IT department tell everyone how great it is, they create a fishbowl where early adopters share their honest experiences.
That makes so much sense.
Right.
It's one thing to hear a polished presentation,
Yeah.
but it's another to hear from your peers who are actually in the trenches using the tool day in and day out.
It humanizes the change.
Right.
And addresses those unspoken concerns we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
You get to hear about the initial struggles, the workarounds people discovered, and ultimately how they're seeing benefits that maybe weren't even highlighted in the official training materials.
So it's not just about sharing information. It's about building trust and creating a shared understanding.
Precisely. And think about the questions that could come from the outer circle in this scenario. People who are hesitant to adopt the new technology can get their concerns addressed directly by those who've already been through it.
That's a good point.
It's like a built-in support system powered by real-world experience.
This is making me rethink how we approach change management altogether.
Yeah.
Instead of forcing things top-down, you create a space for organic learning and adaptation.
Right.
We've talked a lot about businesses and organizations.
Yeah.
But could you use a fishbowl in a community setting too?
Absolutely.
I'm picturing neighborhood groups, volunteer organizations, places where things can get heated pretty quickly.
Yeah, anytime you have a group of people with diverse experiences and perspectives who need to come together to solve a problem.
Right.
A fishbowl can be a valuable tool. In fact, it can be especially powerful in situations where emotions run high.
Okay, now you're really testing my imagination.
Okay.
Give me an example. How does a fishbowl defuse tension in a community setting?
So let's say a neighborhood is grappling with a parking shortage issue.
Oh, okay.
Instead of just having a heated debate at a meeting, they create a fishbowl with residents who have different parking needs and habits.
You'd have someone who works from home and needs all-day parking. Someone with a large family who relies on street parking.
Exactly.
Someone who uses public transportation.
Yeah.
It forces everyone to see the issue from multiple perspectives.
Exactly. And as those individuals share their experiences and frustrations, you can start to uncover potential solutions that take everyone's needs into account.
Right.
It moves you from a place of conflict to a place of understanding and collaboration.
It's like turning complaints into data points.
I like that.
Suddenly, instead of just griping about the problem, you're collectively brainstorming solutions based on real-world insights.
I actually witnessed this firsthand in my own neighborhood.
Really?
We were having a contentious debate about a proposed park redesign. Emotions were running high and people were digging in their heels.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Then someone suggested a fishbowl.
Interesting.
We had residents representing different viewpoints share their personal stories about how they used the park, what they loved about it, and what they hope to see improved.
What happened?
It was remarkable.
Really?
As people listened to each other's stories, the tone of the conversation shifted. You could feel the empathy building in the room.
Wow.
We went from shouting matches to thoughtful dialogue.
So that's amazing.
And by the end of the fishbowl, we'd identified several common goals and started brainstorming solutions that addressed everyone's concerns.
That's a powerful example of how a fishbowl can bridge divides.
Right.
And create a sense of shared purpose.
Yeah.
But what about in situations where there's a clear power dynamic at play?
Okay.
Let's say a team is struggling with low morale. And the manager wants to get honest feedback. Wouldn't people hold back, especially in a work setting?
That's where the facilitator's role becomes absolutely crucial.
Okay.
They need to create a safe and supportive environment.
Right.
Where everyone feels comfortable sharing their honest thoughts and feelings.
Yeah.
Regardless of their position in the hierarchy.
So it's not just about setting up the chairs and letting people talk.
No, not at all.
There's a real art to facilitating a successful fishbowl.
There is.
Especially in sensitive situations.
Absolutely. And it starts with setting clear ground rules for respectful communication.
Okay.
The facilitator needs to make it clear that this is a space for sharing experiences,
Right.
not attacking individuals or airing grievances.
It's about creating a container for vulnerability and honest feedback.
Yeah.
But within a framework that feels safe and supportive.
Exactly. And one of the most effective ways to do that is to focus on the what, so what, now what framework during the debrief.
Remind me how that works again?
So after the inner circle has shared their experiences and the outer circle has asked their questions,
yeah,
the facilitator guides the group through a 3-step process.
Okay, I'm with you.
Okay, good.
What's the first step?
Okay.
This is about summarizing the key themes and insights that emerged from the fishbowl conversation.
Right.
It's about making sure everyone is on the same page about what was shared.
Okay, so it's like creating a shared understanding of the landscape.
Exactly.
What's next?
So this is where you start to analyze the significance of those insights. Why do they matter?
Right.
What are the implications for the team, the organization, or the community?
It's about moving from observation to analysis.
Yes.
Digging deeper into the why behind the what.
Yeah.
And the final step.
Now what?
Okay, this is where the rubber meets the road.
Right.
What concrete actions can we take based on what we've learned?
Yeah.
What changes can we make? What experiment can we run?
So it's not just about having a nice chat and feeling good about ourselves. It's about translating insights into action.
Precisely.
I love this framework.
It's great, isn't it?
It's a powerful way to ensure that the fishbowl isn't just a feel-good exercise,
Right.
but a catalyst for real change and progress.
Exactly. And remember, the now what phase doesn't have to end with the fishbowl itself.
You mean it's an ongoing process?
Exactly. The fishbowl can be the spark that ignites a longer-term change effort. It can be the starting point for a new project, a new initiative,
Right.
or a new way of working together.
Okay, so we've seen how a fishbowl can work in a business setting, in a community setting,
Yeah.
and even in situations where there are power dynamics at play. But I can't help but wonder, is there ever a time when a fishbowl is not a good idea?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And it highlights the importance of choosing the right tool for the job. A fishbowl isn't a magic bullet.
Right.
And it's not appropriate for every situation.
When would you advise against using a fishbowl?
One scenario is when you need to make a quick decision.
Okay.
Based on clear facts and data.
Right.
A fishbowl is about exploring nuances.
Yeah.
Gathering diverse perspectives and building shared understanding. It's not a rapid-fire decision-making tool.
So if you're in a crisis situation or need to make a call based on objective information, a fishbowl is probably not the best approach.
Right. Yeah.
What else?
Another situation to be cautious of is when the topic is highly sensitive or emotionally charged. And there's a risk that the conversation could escalate into personal attacks or conflict.
Yeah, you're talking about the situations where people are deeply entrenched in their viewpoints and not open to hearing other perspectives.
Exactly. In those cases, a fishbowl might do more harm than good.
Right.
It's important to assess the group's readiness for open dialogue and ensure that there's a foundation of trust and respect before diving into a potentially contentious topic.
It's like you said earlier, choosing the right tool for the job. And sometimes a fishbowl is not the right tool.
Precisely. And remember, even when a fishbowl is the right tool, its success hinges on careful planning and skillful facilitation. You can't just throw people into a circle and hope for the best.
So it's not just about the structure itself.
No.
It's about the intention and the execution.
Absolutely. The fishbowl is a powerful tool. But like any tool, it needs to be used wisely and skillfully to achieve its full potential.
This has been an incredible deep dive so far.
It has.
We've gone from a basic understanding of the fishbowl structure to exploring its applications in a variety of contexts. And now we're even talking about the potential pitfalls and ethical considerations.
And through it all, I hope we've conveyed the excitement and potential of this technique for fostering dialogue, sparking creativity, and unlocking the collective wisdom of a group. But before we wrap up part 2, there's one more intriguing aspect of the fishbowl that I want to explore. The executive fishbowl.
We briefly touched on this earlier.
We did.
This is where the management team holds its meetings surrounded by their direct reports, right?
Exactly. It's about radical transparency. And creating a culture of shared learning.
Right.
But it's not for the faint of heart.
Okay, I'm picturing this and I'm already getting nervous.
I can imagine.
What if the managers see the executives disagreeing or struggling with a tough decision? Could that undermine their authority?
It's certainly a departure from the traditional top-down leadership model,
Right.
where executives often operate behind closed doors.
Yeah.
But I think that's precisely what makes the executive fishbowl so valuable.
Hmm.
It allows managers to see that their leaders are human,
Okay.
that they face challenges and make difficult choices just like everyone else.
So it's about breaking down the myth of the infallible leader and creating a more authentic and relatable leadership style.
Exactly. But let's be realistic.
Yeah.
Not all executives are comfortable with that level of vulnerability.
Right.
And not all managers are ready to see their leaders in that light.
That's true. The executive fishbowl requires a certain level of organizational maturity.
It does.
And a willingness to embrace transparency and shared decision-making. But when done well, it can be a game changer.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm starting to see the potential here.
Good.
But I'm also sensing some red flags.
Okay.
This feels like a high-risk, high-reward scenario.
It definitely is.
Yeah.
But the potential rewards are significant.
Okay.
The executive fishbowl creates an incredible opportunity for learning and alignment. The managers get a first-hand look at how the executive team thinks, makes decisions, and addresses challenges.
And the executives get real-time feedback and insights from the people who are closest to the work.
Exactly.
But how do you ensure that the managers actually feel comfortable speaking up?
Wouldn't there be a risk of self-censorship?
Yeah.
Or just telling the executives what they want to hear?
That's where the facilitators' role becomes even more crucial.
Okay.
They need to create a safe and supportive environment where everyone feels empowered to share their thoughts and perspectives,
Right.
even if they're different from the executives.
So it's about striking that balance between transparency and psychological safety.
Precisely. And that requires a facilitator who is skilled at navigating power dynamics,
Okay.
encouraging open dialogue,
Yeah.
and ensuring that everyone's voice is heard.
Okay, this has been an incredible deep dive into the user experience fishbowl.
It has.
We've covered so much ground, from the basic structure to real-world examples to potential challenges and adaptations.
I know, it's been great.
But there's still one crucial question that we need to address.
What's that?
Where could you, our listener, use a user experience fishbowl?
Ooh, good question. What challenges are you facing that could benefit from this kind of open, experience-based dialogue?
That's the question we'll be exploring in part 3 of our deep dive.
Okay.
So stay tuned.
All right.
We'll be back with even more insights and practical tips to help you implement the user experience fishbowl in your own life and work.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the user experience fishbowl.
It's been a good one.
It's time to shift gears from exploration to application.
Okay, cool.
We've covered the what and the why.
Right.
Now let's talk about the how.
Awesome.
We want you, the listener, to actively think along with us here.
Yeah.
What's a challenge you're facing right now? It could be at work, in your community, or even in your personal life.
Right.
Something that's been nagging at you that you just can't seem to crack.
Right.
Got it. Picture that challenge in your mind.
Okay.
Now imagine, instead of stewing over it alone or having the same unproductive arguments, you gather a small group of people who have direct experience with that very challenge.
I like it.
These are your fish.
Okay.
They're not there to debate or preach, but to share their stories, warts and all. The successes, the setbacks, the unexpected discoveries they made along the way.
I got it.
Okay, I'm seeing it.
Yeah.
My fish are those colleagues who just seem to navigate this problem effortlessly.
Right.
I'm dying to know their secrets. What happens next?
So you, along with others who are curious or affected by this challenge, you form the outer circle. You're listening intently, picking up on those subtle details that a formal report would never capture.
Yeah.
And then comes the key moment.
Okay.
Your chance to ask questions.
This is where it gets really interesting.
Right.
It's not just about passively absorbing information. It's about actively seeking out the insights that are most relevant to you.
Exactly. You're not just getting answers from some distant expert or authority figure.
Yeah.
You're getting insights directly from people who have walked the path you're on.
Yeah.
Who understand the nuances and complexities firsthand.
It's like crowdsourcing wisdom from those who are closest to the problem.
I like that.
And I bet sometimes the most unexpected ideas come from those who have been wrestling with the challenge day in and day out.
That's the beauty of tapping into lived experience.
Right.
You never know what gems of wisdom might emerge.
Yeah, and it's not just about gathering information.
No.
It's about connecting with others on a human level.
It is.
It's about sharing vulnerabilities, celebrating successes, and realizing that we're not alone in facing these challenges.
Absolutely. It's about building a sense of community and shared purpose.
Right.
Even when dealing with difficult or complex issues.
Earlier, we talked about a sales team adopting new technology. But what if you're on that team?
Okay.
And you're the one who's struggling to adapt?
This is where the fishbowl can be incredibly empowering. Instead of suffering in silence, you can use this technique to seek out support and guidance from your peers.
So I could gather a few colleagues who have already mastered the new system.
Yeah.
And ask them to share their tips and tricks.
Exactly. You could ask them about the challenges they faced, the workarounds they discovered, and the unexpected benefits they've experienced.
Suddenly, I'm not just battling this new technology alone.
Right.
I'm part of a community of learners, all supporting each other's growth.
And remember, the learning doesn't stop with the fishbowl itself.
Right.
It can be the catalyst for ongoing mentorship or peer-to-peer coaching.
It's like creating a ripple effect of knowledge sharing and continuous improvement.
I like that.
This has been an eye-opening deep dive.
It has.
We've gone from understanding the mechanics of the fishbowl to seeing its potential in a whole new light.
And I hope we've inspired you to start thinking about how you can apply this powerful technique in your own life and work.
Where could you create a space for open, honest dialogue? What challenges could you tackle in a new way?
Right. This is just one technique out of many.
Yeah.
The world of liberating structures is full of innovative ways to make group interactions more productive, engaging, and meaningful.
So keep exploring, keep experimenting.
Absolutely.
And most importantly,
Make you deep diving.
Happy deep diving, everyone.
See you next time on the Facilitators Deep Dive Podcast, your podcast on your way to facilitation mastery. Until next time.
See you then.